please paint the picture of migrant children and left behind children for us. Who are they and what are the numbers we're talking about?
Well, both migrant children and left behind children are the children of migrants who move to the cities seeking for the job and coming home for the New Year's. So when the migrants decided to bring their children with them to the city and live with them, and they become migrant children. And if they couldn't, they left with them with grandchildren or other caregivers, and they are left behind children. So those are the two. But literally, they're the same group of children because migrants are coming from rural areas. Whether they bring their children or not, the children are from those rural areas.
Yes. So, what are the numbers we're talking about? We know there are about 9 million children who are left behind. Yeah. What about the number of migrant children who are living in the cities?
There's never a kind of accurate estimation. So the estimation probably equivalent to the similar number. But I think the fact is...
So we're talking about millions as well?
Yeah, millions as well.
Wow.
And there are major pockets of those migrant children in the big cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Hangzhou, those at least the provincial cities.
And so these are the children of the migrant workers who are working in big cities, and basically we don't see them very much, we don't notice them very much in our daily life.
Well, because these people are marginalized in the urban areas because the housing is very expensive in the downtown city. So often cases they are in the suburban counties. So even migrant children, they're schooling because it used to be close to the city center, but because of the development, they're pushed farther away from the city center. So for the people like us, we seldom see them. So they are concentrated in certain parts of the margins of the urban areas. So it's very hardly seen that. So ordinary people might not think about they are part of the urban citizen. So they are just temporarily residing in some of the very low and poor conditioned areas in the suburban. The cities might, the villages might soon be deserted or being converted by housing estates, companies or somehow. So.
Yeah, so we're talking about two groups of children. One group are those who are living by themselves with their grandparents or aunties and uncles because their parents are working in other places. Right. And another group of children, although with their parents, but largely marginalized. What are the problems they're faced with, and what are the symptoms of the problems that they're faced with?
Well, I think now lots of attention from the government down to the society and NGOs are talking about left behind children, thinking they are the disadvantaged group.
They're not?
So, well, yes, they are, but they're not the only ones. So we did a study, we pulled our past kind of survey, we put about more than 130,000 individuals. We compared between migrant children and left behind children, and also children who live with their parents in the countryside. What we found, based on their educational performance, their health conditions, and their mental health, in most categories, migrant children or left behind children were doing better than others.
Than the children who are living with their parents.
Yeah. Guess who are the most vulnerable group in the countryside we're comparing?
Who?
Those who live with their parents in the countryside. Imagine parents are not able to find a job somewhere else. They must be the poorest among the poor in the countryside. If one of the parents are able to get a job off the farm, they are financially better off. So what we are arguing is that whether they're left behind children or not, all the rural children in the poor areas should be paid attention. They are all disadvantaged, not only the left behind children.
So I understand, they must suffer all kinds of psychological problems, trauma, anxiety.
Yeah, for the psychological, and we compare the mental health status, that's the one left behind children doing worse than the other ones. So by all the other categories, this is the only one they stand out are being more disadvantaged than others.
Because they're not with their parents.
Yeah, they don't have people to communicate.
Yeah,
But apart from that, all of them should be looked after better.
Sure.
So.
I understand you did a study of these children, and you actually followed quite a number of children who are living with their parents in bigger cities. Over 5 years' time, what have you found?
Well, this is really another, because the people paid a lot of attention to left behind children. And earlier years, people paid attention to migrant children. So what earlier years they argued that they're not properly educated in the urban area, although they're with their parents. So they're in the privately run migrant schools. So we followed a group of second-year junior high school students for 5 years. What we found, that some people say, hey, they come with their parents, they should receive better education in urban area. But unfortunately, they're not, because
Why?
they are, most of them were not able to enter into public school. So they study in the migrant schools.
Migrant schools specifically for these children.
For these children.
So the education quality
so
is...
all the facilities, even teaching staff, they are not as good as the public schools. So they end up not getting a good education. So we followed them for 5 years. Majority of them didn't go to high school. Lots of them, even they go to job market, they are still in a low end. So they're not getting better paid.
So it's a big problem because China will need a large number of high quality workforce if it wants to continue to develop its economy. What is being done at this moment, and what do you think is the top priority that everybody should pay attention to at this moment?
Well, I think not only we're talking about the individual benefits of those migrant children or like left behind children, for the nation as a whole. If China wants to upgrade its industry, you need better educated labor forces. We're not talking about elite like professors in the universities, we're talking about
skilled
quality labor forces.
Sure.
So compared with OECD countries, our labor forces education is far below of those countries where they are ready to move.
Are there a lot of efforts being taken, briefly?
Well, they are. So the government says we said we should have a universal high school education, but high school is very expensive. It's not free. So,
so a lot needs to be done at this moment. Thank you very much, Dr. Zhang Linxiu from the Chinese Academy of Sciences.